the January 6th select, and by the way, don't, be sure to stick around as we're going to do a deep dive into the whole Omicron thing too, and we'll get into that in our second hour. Although, let me just give you the preview. The United Kingdom is Boris Johnson, the Prime Minister of the UK, at least for the country of England, is saying get your booster before the end of this month being December. Originally, they had planned by the end of January, but they are seeing cases double every 2 and 3 days in the United Kingdom right now, the Omicron. Omicron is just ripping that country up. Okay, so, but we'll get back to that and, all the various responses to it. Mark Meadows, yesterday, the House Select Committee that is looking into the January 6th treason attempt, the coup attempt, writing about Trump's chief of staff, Mark Meadows, former cokehead, Freedom Caucus member of Congress. This is an excerpt from the January 6th Select Committee report. He participated in one such meeting in the Oval Office. These are meetings to overturn the election, right, to overthrow the election. He participated in one such meeting in the Oval Office with Mr. Trump and members of Congress. Oh, really? Who are those members of Congress? Which he publicly tweeted about from his personal Twitter account shortly after. He participated in another such call just days before the January 6th attack with Mr. Trump, members of Congress, attorneys for the Trump re-election campaign, and some 300 state and local officials to discuss the goal of overturning certain states' electoral college results on January 6th. Meadows now is the third person to face contempt of Congress citations after Jeffrey Clark and Steve Bannon, and, onward it goes. So Mark Meadows also provided the committee, I think probably inadvertently, it was buried in an email, but it was an attachment to an email, with this PowerPoint presentation on how to overthrow the government of the United States. I mean, I just laid it out. Why is this, and we've known about this now for about a week, why was this not the top story? And Meadows being held in contempt. Why was this not the top story in the New York Times, the Washington Post, the Oregonian, my local paper? Why wasn't it the top story on all the electronic websites? Why is it that the only frankly, the only news media that I've seen that have even been reporting on it have been, Democracy Now! with Amy Goodman and a couple of shows on MSNBC. It's like, this was a big deal. This was revealed on Thursday of last week, that he had this PowerPoint presentation. It would declare a national state of emergency. It would invalidate all the electronic votes. It would inform lawmakers that there's foreign interference and you need to shut down your state. And then let's not forget, this Meadows was basically in on this thing with a couple of other people. Like, for example, the Secretary of Defense, the acting Secretary of Defense, Christopher Miller, who wrote this memo on January 4th, 2 days before the traitorous coup attempt, who wrote a memo that says, and I quote, "Without my subsequent personal authorization, the D.C. National Guard is not authorized to be issued weapons, ammunition, bayonets, batons, or ballistic protection equipment, such as helmets and body armor, is not authorized to interact physically with protesters, is not authorized to employ any riot control agents, is not authorized to share equipment with law enforcement agencies, is not authorized to use intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance assets, is not authorized to employ helicopters or other air assets, is not authorized to conduct searches, seizures, arrests, or similar law enforcement activity, and is not authorized to seek support from any non-DC National Guard units." Really? This is the Secretary of Defense. This is the head of the Pentagon saying, when these guys, 2 days before the attack, after a meeting with Meadows and Trump, issuing a memo to the National Guard saying, you may not stop these protesters. And now we're hearing in the media that the reason he gave for that was, oh, gee, it would look like the government was becoming like fascist or something, sending troops against our good citizens who are merely exercising their First Amendment right to assemble and petition the government for redress of grievances. Really? This is the Secretary of Defense saying, no, you may not do it. And then on top of that, Well, I'll get to the insurrectionists actually right after the break and then pick up your phone calls. But, you know, on top of that, we've got the D.C. National Guard saying no, we can't do this. You've got Meadows saying that the Guard, this was another thing that came out yesterday. Mark Meadows had said that the National Guard would protect the pro-Trump people. You get that? After Chris Miller, the Secretary of Defense, says, National Guard, you may not have weapons, you may not arrest people, you may not interfere with protests, but you must protect the protesters, which is exactly what happened. The protesters, in quotes, these traitors, attacked the Capitol, broke into the Capitol, defaced the Capitol, smeared feces all over the walls and the floor, busted up members of Congress's offices, put a gallows outside, tried to hang Mike Pence, were looking to kill Nancy Pelosi and other members of Congress. And Mark Meadows and the Secretary of Defense said to the National Guard, this is just fine. This is what you are supposed to protect. These people. You may not stop them. You may not intervene. What the hell is going on here, and why isn't it on the front page of the newspapers?